we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time listening, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out and hit us up for any topics or anything, or if you wanted to come on as a guest, come on and reach out to us on either Twitter or Instagram at the Bigmark Pod or at the Bigmark Podcast. You can support the podcast if you like at our Patreon, patreon.com/thebigmarkpod. We got a few tiers to support there. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video and hit the notifications for all that good stuff. And yeah, if you like the podcast, tell a friend. If you tell one friend, we can double the podcast overnight. And that's how it goes. And I'm really happy. I'm super excited because it's been so long since we've seen each other. And I'm honored to have him on. My man, Home Devo, Devon Anthony Marks. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great to see you again. Oh my gosh. I'm doing well.
It's been a long time, man.
Again, we were just saying before we hit the red button here, like, I was thinking about it before. I'm like, holy shit, it's been that long. Like, shit. So what is that? 2009.
2009.
Yeah,
2009. Man. Yeah. Because, you would have, that's when we were done. Yeah. So, yeah.
Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
The Mary's days, we played, we played a little football together. We played basketball together mostly.
But yeah, the 5 a.m.
Oh man.
5 a.m. Practices. Then after, then we'd have practice after school too.
Oh yeah.
You know what I totally forgot about? I was talking about it the other day actually. The Dairy Milk Classic.
Oh man, yeah, bro, the Dairy Classic out. Yo, that was a good time, man. Like, all right, so this was in what?
Sussex,
New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Sussex, New Brunswick, and of course, you know how it is. I mean, it's basketball season, obviously in winter. And we choose to go to New Brunswick. Like, of all the places.
That's G. That's
it's G. Yeah. They went to Texas the year before or some shit. And
exactly.
We're like, okay, cool. We're finally on the senior team. We're like, okay, we get to finally go somewhere fun.
Yeah.
And we're in New Brunswick. Honestly, it was tons of fun because you're with the boys. You're in the team.
We
were in that like motel thing,
right, with the cow out front.
Legitimate cow. And it was like an ice rink everywhere you went.
Remember that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. When you, no word of a lie, when you walked outside of the parking lot, it was just ice. It was literally just ice. It was a rink.
Completely.
Yeah.
And we're like trying to play sports there and not break our friggin' ankles and like die, crack our heads open.
For real.
Meanwhile, we're at this motel and we like somehow broke into that other room. Remember that? And that was strictly to just play cards in.
I actually forgot about that.
I totally just remember it was just like,
what game were we playing?
We were playing
asshole or something.
There was mad euchre happening, 100%. There was poker happening because I remember at one point, man, actually, Dave Ackert, RIP, 100%. Do you know that he passed away?
No.
Yeah, man.
No way.
I was like, fuck. I just thought about it now.
Really?
But yeah, man.
Was that recent?
Yeah, very recent.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think he was having like some actual like heart issues, like something. But I don't know. I never really got to the bottom of it. But yeah.
Like me and him lived together.
Corey about it.
Yeah.
No way. Fuck.
We 110 Emerson.
True.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever came. I think you were already gone.
Yeah.
But I lived with Gabe.
Okay.
Callum.
Yes.
It was me and Dave Ackert in the basement.
No way.
Yeah. And Spilak too.
Okay.
Yeah, we all lived together in that house. Yeah.
That's unreal house.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Fuck. I know. Yeah. Yo, heavy duty.
Wow.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to Dave Ackert.
to Dave Ackert. Again, we played basketball with Dave. And anyone who knows Dave, he was a great guy.
Wow.
Had some troubles here.
He had some troubles,
but
again, but at the end of the day, he was fun to have around. Like, he was a good guy at heart,
100%.
Yeah.
And again, we're playing, at this tournament, we're all there and we're playing. And this is when we were like, it's always funny with sports teams, especially in high school. Like you have those, like you're on the senior team, but because we were like the younger grade, you're still like, there's a bunch of senior
Exactly.
guys. The guys
Yeah.
are older.
Right.
You know, you still kind of feel that like, oh, we're like kind of looking up to these guys
Right,
in a
right.
sense, slash like now we're not juniors anymore.
That too.
Right?
That too,
like you
right?
feel like
Yeah.
you feel like so much cooler, basically.
I remember
And
when I
grade
first
11's the
came.
best year, right?
Grade 11 to me, because grade 12, you either have
It's
some
on the line.
Yeah, you have some people that you were around that are gone.
Yep.
You're more finite in your courses.
100%.
So you're not around the people that you were normally around. And you just all together you have to be more serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's on the
Yeah.
line. Like if you're
Yeah.
trying to like whatever, you're
Yeah.
like you're making decisions in grade 12. For grade 11, you're just fucking hanging out.
Exactly.
You know, again, you're not like a young kid, like, you know, gonna get rooked or anything.
Yeah.
But you're like, you know, a little bit older, but you know, again, you know, you're going to make it to grade 12 realistically, unless you somehow completely fuck the dog and you don't make it.
Yeah.
But like, you're pretty much going to get there. And again, playing sports in that time was the best. You were going to say
Yeah.
when you first came to Mary's.
When I first came to Mary's, I remember going on. Because I was older than my grade at the time.
Right.
So I remember I was on the junior team for about a week.
Right.
and then one day they're like, I see Valvasori. He calls me over. He's like, hey, let me talk to you. Hold. Oh no, it was Laser.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how old are you? And then they realized, yeah, you should be with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from then I was DB.
Unreal.
Yeah. And I was the kick returner and punt returner with me and Kovchuk.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, those Mary's days. So we played together in grade 12. We were just saying right before we started. I didn't play grade 12. I've said this on the podcast before. I played Hamilton Hurricanes, and everyone was mad cheesed.
Hey.
Like people were not impressed, which I
Right.
totally get.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like if I look back on it and like, you know, Mary's was struggling. Like I think we won one game. And that was when I was in grade 9 on the junior team.
I never won a game there.
Yeah. Like Paul Hart was on the team.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like he wasn't even at Mary's anymore.
Yeah.
Like we actually beat Brebeuf, but it was like in junior and the only
Yeah.
time we ever won a game, bro.
Right.
And like even when I was like when we graduated, Mary's didn't win a game for real for like a couple years.
But I think I heard when they won, it was like 2-3 years later, but when they won, it was more of like a spread out. Like I think they won more than one game that year.
Yeah. But that's great to hear.
Great to
because
hear,
honestly,
yeah.
it's sad.
But the thing was, when I came over there, I came from Niagara Falls, right?
Right.
And I came here, and then I heard I was maybe the year or two before that there was a new school that opened, BT.
Right.
And I didn't know anything about the Hamilton scene at all, like nothing.
Sure.
So when I heard that happened,
Right.
we were the only AAA school in the Catholic high school world at the time.
Yeah. Everyone was quad, and then obviously
The only
ACT was
that's
like
what I was just
single
about to say that, but we didn't play them in everything,
Right.
Because they didn't have a team for everything, right?
Yeah, no football team. Yeah.
Right.
And
so
no football team, definitely. They had a soccer team, 100%.
they had a soccer team. They weren't that good though.
No.
No. But speaking of, we were actually
300
good
kids.
in soccer
I know.
when we came. Yeah,
100%.
we were. My years when we. I'm not saying because I got there, but
Yeah,
it was.
100%.
but like it just so happened there was a accumulation of good talent. There was
Yeah.
Harrister,
Yep.
Oliver, the young Oliver. They had
Pete Casella.
Pete.
He was out there. Oh, Pete was out there. Jason, you said Jace Swiderski?
Swiderski.
Yeah.
The Dutch wonder.
Oh my God!
Oh
No,
my
he's gonna
gosh.
be pissed if you say that. He's fucking Polish as fuck.
Oh, is he? Oh, yeah, he is. My bad.
It's
You know what he kind of looks like? Kind of looks like Holland. If you pay attention, he looks like Holland to me on Manchester City. Anyways,
Yo, for
my
real.
bad, Jay. My bad, Jay. I knew that actually. We had Johan.
Yo, for real.
We had R.I.P. Nico.
Fuck yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's-
We had Nico.
who the fuck thought already we'd be already showing out two
Right?
Fallen brothers?
Right?
Like, man, fucking brutal. Anyway,
Right? Gabe was on the team. Like there was
tremendous.
My first year, the soccer team wasn't that great.
Weird.
It was the year after, but the first year we had who do we have? Bombo.
Oh yeah,
remember Bombo?
Dude, for real.
Yeah,
because so I think again the first year you came to Mary's, I fucking played on the senior team.
Oh, did you? Did you?
So again, like, because this was like, honestly, it was one of those things that like it kind of just happened.
Yeah.
And
okay.
like I just like carried on and
you were no striker then.
No, I was net.
Okay. All right.
I was keeper, and it was one of those things where it would, you know who the crew was. It was me, fucking Homer, and PD up in the weight room. Remember fucking Nick Mercy Classic?
Yeah.
And PD up in the weight room all times.
All the time.
Right, like we were fucking working out, and they're like mad. And Bombo would come and like, you know how he was. He'd fucking come and like bust our balls. Yeah, he'd come and bust our balls and shit.
Yeah,
and we'd be like, hey, and I don't even know what possessed me, but I was like, yo, sir, like I'll come play. I'll play net, like whatever. I'll play keeper. Like I don't know.
Were you good?
Better outdoor, indoor, not great. Honestly, I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. You think indoor,
right?
Right?
Yeah.
Honestly, it was if the seasons were switched, I feel like it'd be better because I got a better thing. But like, you know how it is, like the distances are so much shorter in indoor. Guys are fucking kicking 110 from like 15 yards instead of 30, 40 yards, where you have a little bit more time in that sense.
Yeah.
But it was this weird thing, honestly. It was like I call it. I've mentioned before. I call it a game of chicken.
Okay.
Where between me and Bombo, where like he wasn't gonna cut me and I wasn't gonna quit. But we were just going. We were just fucking going down the road at 100 till one of us did that.
Yeah.
And it never really happened. And I would literally play like the first half, and then we'd put another keeper in. Like it was just like weird. I look back on it. It was tons of fun. It was something to do. But like even the guys that were older, I kind of felt bad for them because you know they're doing their last season.
Fair.
And it was just weird. It wasn't like bad where guys were like, "What the fuck."
It was
but
just
it could have been way better if you had someone in there that knew what they were fucking doing.
Fair.
Like maybe I should have played junior. And then things were better. I don't know why it was senior.
But I don't think you had you didn't have much of interest. You were probably just because Bombo was coming in busting your balls.
It was just
you had good camaraderie with him, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, right? It was good, and I worked hard to be on the team. Like I did all the running.
Okay,
it wasn't like I was like not in. I wasn't showing. I was there doing it.
The thing was, you did like when we were on the ball team, you did the running too. Like like we did some running though,
dude.
I look back. I don't know if I. 5 a.m. doing the stairs at school.
Oh, dude.
I don't know about.
We would do 5 a.m.s and then, like you said, go to school all fucking day. And then have practice again. And it was just like, I mean, I guess the morning practices, I think we only did them twice a week, right?
There were some weeks where we did it 3.
At least 3.
Yeah, there were some weeks.
Yeah.
But
it was a lot.
Those hurt.
Yeah.
Those hurt.
Yeah,
because,
I think we did it. I think we did Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning work.
Yeah.
Plus all the tournaments and shit and all that fucking like, oh man, like you said, tons of running and like conditioning. Junior alone, the conditioning was crazy because that's basically what Patty was about. He was just like
Papillia was all about run, exactly. I remember when I came, it was a lot of that. There was barely any like scrimmage, like. It was
true.
Yeah, barely any scrimmage, like barely.
Like the actual basketball knowledge was very little. It was like learn how to be tough.
Yes, because that's how it was.
Yeah,
that's how it was. Apparently, there was. I don't know much about this, but there was like a long history of basketball greatness before at the Marys. I don't know that.
Honestly, long history. Yes, mostly the girls.
Well, we know
the girls were dominant.
But even when we were there, the girls were
100%. But like. You know, was like we hadn't won OFSA since '91,
right?
And like, yes, the senior team right before we got to senior team, like they were in the like when I was in grade 9, or like when I was there at Mary's in grade 9, they were like they were in the cities, like they were playing STM in the cities.
Okay.
And it was like Mary's was legit, but again, that was because it was still the remnants of BT. So anyone listening who doesn't know what happened in Hamilton, so essentially St. Mary's, where it's situated is like far western Hamilton, basically Westdale, almost Dundas, and that is basically situated between obviously West Hamilton, place called Ancaster, which is like very well off, and a place called Dundas, which is basically equally well off, but a little bit more sleepy. A lot of families, a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Right. And but like it was situated in, and then Waterdown too. We had a lot of Waterdown kids, right? Because that's where Jay was from, and all the boys.
You're talking about Jay, like Pool Jay?
Swidersk.
Not Swiderski. I'm talking about
Pool J.
His dad owned the pool. He had a indoor pool in his house.
Oh, Jake.
Yes,
our boy Jake. Oh my God, 100% Jake is the man.
Yeah.
We played a lot of fucking basketball with Jake.
Yeah. I think he had a game winner one year.
Dude, he was a shooter when he was on. He was a shooter.
Yeah.
And God bless Jake, man. He was kind of fucking wild.
He was wild. But he was cool to hang around.
Oh yeah, love Jake. I haven't seen him in time either. I bumped into him since, but I think because Zach Angus was still buddies with him, and I've been chilling. Like when Zach's around, shout out to Angus. He's down in the Bahamas right now. That's where he's living. He's teaching down there.
He's teaching.
Yeah, him and his fiance. They're living and teaching.
I saw a picture of him recently. He lost a lot of weight. He's just
big time. Yeah. He's island living, man. Like he's just eating healthy and like playing ball all the time.
Yeah.
Being outside. It's fucking nice weather always.
That's great.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's super happy, and like he was up here not too long ago. We were at his engagement party.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Nice.
But yeah, like so all those boys, like again, all those Waterdown boys were there too. So you had this interesting conglomeration at Mary's at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty big school, man. Like you remember we had all those portables and they were all fucking empty.
We had I had like 1 or 2 classes in there.
Because we were like dwindling again, AAA, which is like 1,100.
It's 1,100. 1,100, yeah. I think it's 1,100.
Right around.
Yeah. We definitely weren't over 12.
No.
It was like 1,100, and we were the only school that was like that other than ACMT. But they're outside. I don't. Are they considered in the Catholic school board?
Technically, man, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a Catholic school.
They are, but they're French.
Right.
But
there's a public French school too.
Is there?
Yeah. George P. I don't know, some shit. It's like It's like it's in Westdale too, but a lot of the NITA chicks went there that were like from Quebec.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. You know what's funny? Now that you bring that up.
Yeah.
So I'm in Toronto and I'm watching basketball and I'm watching Kelly Olynyk, right?
Yes, yo.
And I'm trying to explain to these guys that like, I'm like, I went to high school with that guy. They're like, bullshit. I was like, no, I literally went to high school with this guy. Yeah. He didn't have long hair though.
Right.
He had short hair, and I played him one-on-one in the gym before, like legit.
That fitness class.
Yeah.
Remember we were in
exactly.
fitness class,
with
and
G,
it was
right?
like it was with G.
Yeah.
And it was like me, you, and Fritz. I think actually.
Yeah, he wasn't.
It was like the three, and there might have been another kid. Anyway, there was like the three of us that weren't on the NITA program.
Yeah.
Everybody else
was on the NITA program. Yeah.
NITA, mentioned it before, National Elite Development Academy, basically the best high school players from Canada. Literally all at our high school.
Well, they could have went to. They had a choice. They could have went to Westdale, the public school.
Right.
And our school, the Catholic.
Yeah. Eventually, they all made it. Like the first few years, they were all spread out. And I think they all eventually just said, "Fuck it, they'll go to Mary's. They don't have to do religion if they don't want."
Yeah.
Because like again, they were at our high school, but they kind of weren't. Like they were like attending classes, and then they would fuck off to Mac and fucking play ball all the time. It was sick. It was a sick program, and unfortunately got cut because Canada basketball doesn't get enough funding. So go and donate to Canada basketball because it's so sad.
Yeah,
it's so sad.
I didn't know it got cut though. Yeah,
it doesn't exist anymore, and 100% because of funding. I think they tried to amalgamate it, and then all these like new like academies have opened.
Fair.
So they kind of did that. They went that route.
But it's more spread out. It's more sparse. Like
dude, I feel like because we actually played sports and we're like serious about it, we would have ended up at one of those academies.
100%.
Right? 100%. If we were in high school right now.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So I think it's such an interesting thing, even in the time. Like I mean, it's been a few fucking years. Don't get us wrong. It's been 13 years or whatever. But, not to put a number on it, but a lot of shit has fucking happened.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of one of those things where it's like times have changed, but again, if you were serious about sports, you were serious about sports. So
the thing is, So I actually I was in contact with Valvasori not so long ago, earlier this year, because I needed a guarantor.
Oh, no way.
For my birth certificate, so I could get my passport.
Right on.
Because I lost my birth certificate.
Oh shit.
So I talked to him. I caught up with him, and he's retired. He has grandkids. He's happy, you know.
Oh,
and I was talking to him about me. Like I don't know if it happens to you. I think about football all the time, like St. Mary's football.
Yeah.
Little plays that I could have done, or some like I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
Little things. If I had the mentality and the knowledge that I have now, I would have been a way better player.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I would have been in the gym. I would have been early to practice. I would have been way more attentive. Because I don't remember. I don't know if you remember my first year there. I think we were at Newman.
Yeah.
Newman wasn't, because the second year I played, Newman was really good.
Yeah, they got.
But good. But the first year I was there, they actually weren't that great. But any which way, I got burnt. I don't know if you remember this game. I don't know if you were on the team then. Right. I got burnt. It was like a fucking 60-yard touchdown. I got burnt. I got. Oh fuck. Yeah, and then later and this was like one of my first games, and I felt like shit, like total utter shit. And remember the dailies? Yeah. Like this is back like that. Guys that I was the youngin', and I was just like, I felt I was the new guy from out of town, and like, you know what I mean. And then the dailies have been at this school, and Callum and all these people that like I look back now, all these guys have this history. Yeah. And I was just this new guy, and I got burnt in one of my first games, first place. Yep. And I was just like, damn. Luckily, we weren't that great, so that play didn't depend. It wasn't a game defining moment or anything. Right. But I did also that game though make one of the greatest interceptions Pat Daly said he ever saw.
Okay. I think I honestly remember this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it.
And I got burnt, and then later on in the game they tried me again. The quarterback overthrew it. Ooh. And I kept running, and I stretched out with one hand. I don't know if you remember it, but I stretched out with one hand, grabbed it, pulled it in, ducked, and I rolled. Yes, sir. And that was it. And that's one of the plays I'll never forget. Like, I talked to Valvasori about, like, basically, do you think like I could have been better or whatever? And I stressed to him that I think about it all the time, and he's like don't dwell on it. It's mistakes or whatever, but like, you know, you grow and everything. And it's just something that I don't know. Do you share that same? You think about sports all the time? Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, again, you know, there's all you know, football, especially for me back in high school, I was just barely trying. My problem, and it showed at Mary's, is I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, I was still pretty new to playing. Like, I mean, everyone was basically pretty new. Yeah. But because of my size, all the coaches just expected me to know how to play football.
I remember the specific day with you.
Yeah.
Where Valvasori called you out. Oh, fuck. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And he called you out. And he's like, you're so fucking big. You're going to let an old man like me push you around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you remember that day?
On the field.
On the field.
Yeah, man.
And he was pushing you, and... yeah,
it was bad, man.
It was bad. Yeah,
and I fucking couldn't push him back.
Yeah,
man. Like, I was a big ass.
Yeah, I remember
I was
that.
In high school, and I probably should have fucking pushed him over, but I didn't know. It was fucking intense as fuck. Oh. And yeah, it was kind of like, sadly, I look back at that. It was kind of fucking degrading.
It was
right.
Because but I was gonna ask you, did it break you at that moment?
I wouldn't say break me, but again, it just like when the Hurricanes asked me to come and play, it wasn't a big decision for me. And that's the sad part.
I get it.
And that's exactly what happened. Because honestly, on the field, whatever, I've been kind of fucking, you know, it happens. You get fucking clowned. You know, I was, whatever. Shit fucking happens. Yeah. But it was that one time in the locker room when he really fucking gave it to me. And kind of everyone else was kind of like, yo, what the fuck?
Yo, chill.
Like, yeah, we're losing this game, but it's not Mark Kraczynski's fault.
Right.
Who's one fucking offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Like, again, if I was a fucking quarterback or receiver or running back who can like put the ball in the end zone, I could make like more of actual difference.
Right.
Sadly, and no disrespect to the other 4 guys on the offensive line, if they're not good either, no one's good. Right?
It's football is definitely a very team-oriented sport.
And then the O-line is like a team within the team.
Right.
Like when I got to Western, like it became this like you're not even playing football, you're like playing O-line.
You're playing O-line. You guys are a total different entity.
It's like, and we have to kind of play as 5 people. And
Yes.
it's really weird, and you have this like, again, this unspoken things. It got really cool like when we got really into it.
Right.
But again, like in high school, it's hard to cultivate that. Kids are young.
It's not the States.
You're like, also like putting kids in there that are like severely undersized, but they're just good at offensive line in high school, because also the defensive line isn't that big either, so you can get away with it.
Well, the defensive line definitely wasn't as big, right?
No.
So then, but the defensive line was more athletic.
Yeah, for
usually.
sure. Oh, usually, 100%. Yeah, like,
yeah.
you kind of think, just put like the fat kids on the offensive line.
Right.
But like, again, in high school, you almost want someone who's at least mobile and like knows how to play football.
Yeah.
So again, this is where my problem came in.
Yeah.
And even my fucking pops would like tell the coaches. I remember this is like start of grade 11. He told the coach like, hey, Mark doesn't know what he's doing. He was straight up, because my dad was fucking straight up as fuck. Right. And he was like, he doesn't know, help, like teach him. But again, that whole thing of, so to circle back to the whole Mary's thing, another school got built and basically split our school in half. And it also like split our coaching staff of football in half. So all of a sudden, this team that Valvasori had, along with Mr. Hall, he was the other teacher who dipped. He went, I don't think he even went to BT, but he just like left the school, whatever. That like put way too much pressure on Valvasori. Like I look back and it was like, I think he was not used to just being the only coach. Yeah. Which is a lot. Again, it's pressure. And St. Mary's is one of the oldest high schools in Hamilton, so it has a storied history. Like it just, it's like Cathedral and Mary's. Even though when we were playing, we were like shit. It was funny. We were both equally shit.
Very.
Like remember that one game we fucking played Cathedral and we almost beat them.
It was so close.
And they fucking kicked a field goal to win.
Yeah.
And I almost fucking blocked it.
Yeah. I remember that game because I remember
it was the toilet bowl.
I was just about to say it was the shit bowl. Like, there's 2 shitty
toilet bowl.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it was
fucking brutal.
But it was so good. There was one year. There was one year we I don't know if you were on the team.
Yeah.
You might know. You were Hurricanes probably.
Okay.
And we were playing, because all the playoff games at the time were at Ivor Wynn, or Tim Hortons Field now, right?
Tim Hortons Field, Ivor Wynn doesn't even fucking exist
anymore. Yeah, that's how far back. Yeah, it used to be called Ivor Wynn Stadium. Now it's called Tim Hortons Field.
That was an experience. That place.
And it's not Cops Coliseum no more. It's First Ontario.
Which is brutal.
Any which way.
Yeah.
We were playing Newman.
Okay.
In the playoffs.
Yep.
Shitty. They smashed us during the season.
Yep.
And we didn't win a game, obviously, that year. But I remember we went in at halftime. It was 10-7 or something like that.
Right.
And I remember jogging into the tunnel and hearing someone in the crowd like, "Damn, St. Mary's came to play today," and that made me feel so good.
So good.
It made me, because we had no business, like our record, we had no business being in the game.
Right.
But there's something that it was just like, I think it was a camaraderie thing where it's like we have nothing to lose.
For sure.
And we were actually playing as a team.
For sure.
There was a lot of we had the, I think would have helped us if we had more morale.
Yeah.
We were just so shit.
Yeah.
We already thought we were shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? If we had more morale on the team,
it
I think it showed that game that we could have pulled some wins out, maybe, or at least had games closer if we had a little bit morale. And that just goes with life too. like in anything you want to do.
Yeah.
If you had more morale, more conviction in yourself, like you can do pretty much anything you want to do. So that was just a glimmering moment.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Like, it's interesting, you know, people obviously always want to be on the team that's winning, right? You always want to win the championships, this and that, but there's something interesting, you know, about being on the team that isn't the best. You know, it still sucks to lose. There's no doubt about it. But like being an underdog, it teaches you a lot of shit, right? Like you said, like, and the things you fall back on, again, morale, like the camaraderie, the teamwork, the teammates. Like I'm sure you've done the same thing. We've all had shitty fucking jobs, but the people you work with are good.
Yeah,
it makes the job fucking that much better.
Way easier.
Easier.
You could have a good job and work with shitty ass people and not make the job not good anymore.
Works the exact same fucking way. You can have the best job in the world, and if you don't want to fucking be there, because again, these are the people that you are spending a good fucking chunk of your life. Unfortunately, we all have to fucking work, and like we have to spend time with people.
Yeah.
And if those people aren't fucking cool, it's that much more effort just to be at work. Like you already don't really want to be at work. You know, you want to live your life, but like. Like I said, if the people suck, but if the people are great, it just makes it so much better. 100%. Like I had a fucking moving job, and it was still in one of my favorite jobs because the people were so fucking cool.
They were cool,
and the team was great, and it was like again, the camaraderie and the teamwork that you have to have. You know, you're moving shit with people. You know, it really grew, and it was so much fun. And it was only a fucking summer I worked there too, right?
No, but it was an experience. You could reflect upon in fondness, right?
But like I said, you know, with like a team that's not winning and not the best, and like even with basketball where we were like middle of the
we were subpar,
honestly, by the end of senior. We were in the top 3, top 4. At least.
That last year.
Yeah.
Were you on the team when Jelani was on the team?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Sadly, I remember that year. Yeah. Because we were so fucking good.
We were so good.
And like, remember we won. So
I actually left the team that year too.
Okay.
Yeah, I left the team before the playoffs.
Okay.
I had too much going on.
Yeah.
I think I remember,
It was also a fucking slug to be on that team at one point.
Oh my gosh.
Because talk about morale and talk about chemistry and talk about all that shit. You know, I can't remember if Zach and I talked about this, but yeah, sadly, in our senior year, we played on a team and we had a couple guys, like Jelani that was his second year at school, I think, because he had to redshirt for a bit of the season.
He had to, I think he came... He sat out either the year before or whatever.
He definitely sat out a year.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was at Mary's. I think he didn't play I thought he came from Sir John A. Because I know he was at Cathedral for a min. Wasn't he? Don't even really know.
I don't know that. Yeah.
He came to our school and had to sit out a couple weeks because we won the Heinbuck.
No, I think he left Cathedral.
Right.
So you might be right.
Cathedral to us, or did he go
to Sir John A. Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That's what I remember for sure. Because Faisal was at Sir John A. and he came in grade 11. And
Faisal came this year I came.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he played with us.
Yes,
and
exactly.
then Jelani came the next year because I think Faisal was like, "Yo, come." Because,
right. Yeah. No, but then remember I recruited Roland.
Yes.
Because Roland was looking for a place to go, and me and him used to hang out all the time. So 100%. I was like, we were good.
Dude, really good. Like, again, we won the Heinbuck, which is like that St. Catherine's tournament.
Yeah.
Big tournament, St. Catherine's, big basketball town. Yeah. And we were we beat STM to actually win. It was like the silver division, but we fucking beat STM to win, which was a solid team. And we historically got our asses handed to us by STM. Yeah. But we're winning. And then Jelani joined the team. Yeah. And it was kind of an interesting thing because he wanted to shine and do well and be successful, but it started to become somewhat at the cost of others, sadly. And then
there was a lot of that year where we had the dream team, quote unquote. Yeah. It was there was a lot of it wasn't initially, but then as the year went on, it became a show. It became a showboating. It became I want to be the man.
Well, because G had a system.
There was a system that worked.
And Zach was there. He was 12 plus. Like, he had put his fucking time in.
He was
really fucking good player.
Yeah.
and he was the leader of the team.
Yeah.
And I think Jelani wasn't all that comfortable with that. And I know there was that. Remember, there was that one game we played Cathedral, and I wasn't there because I was down in the States, like visiting a school somewhere, and it was I wasn't there, so I only heard this secondhand.
I was there. Are you talking about
when G was like, when it's the end of the game, I want the ball in Zach's hands, not yours. And he said that, and he was yelling at Jelani again, and that was a very dumbed down, tame version of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was lots of expletives.
There was a lot of expletives.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the team, but I sat on the bench that game.
Right.
I was at that game, and man.
Because there was another game at Cathedral where we almost beat Cathedral, and it was like some guy at the end of the game was like, that was one of the best high school games I've seen.
Okay,
in years.
Different game.
Yeah.
So I sat on the bench at that game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I sat at the bench
that for sure. I remember that.
That was one of the best high school, not just high school. That was just an amazing basketball game.
And Cathedral is fucking sick gym,
sick,
especially when it's full.
It was full. The rafters.
It's actually built after Cameron Stadium, Duke Stadium.
Yeah.
It just only has 3 sides, not 4.
Exactly.
It has the fucking scoreboard.
That hangs from the ceiling. Yeah,
like a 4-sided one. Yeah, the buzzer, the loudest buzzer in the fucking league. But yeah,
so
it was
that
full.
game. Jelani.
Yeah. Oh, he was going off.
I think he had 4 threes in the first half.
I think at least scored 30 points.
Yeah,
at least.
And then, but the second half he went cold.
Yeah.
He went ice.
Well, so because that was like his old team too, right?
Exactly.
So he was like,
I think he hit a shot right before half too.
Right. Yeah. He was on fire. But yeah, because again, we probably came back in half, and G was probably like, "Yo, let's spread the ball around a little bit or something," right? And fuck, Tyrone Watson was on Cathedral, and he went to fucking Wichita State.
He went to Wichita. Yeah, he
was fucking sick.
I remember my first year on the ball team. I drove in the lane, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go up for it, and he blocked the shit out of me.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He was like, he had to be like 6'4".
Yeah. He was 6'4". He was like 6'4". He wasn't like too tall. Yeah, but he was big.
But oddly, he is who they would put on me in the
I remember that.
And I was always strange because I always thought there's got to be a better way to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
And not necessarily give me the ball because he's a good defender, but he's not defending anybody.
Right.
So this has got to work. But again, Mary's basketball was always, it was good for guards. Like if you were a guard, because our coaches were both guards, it was just like, it had, again, a rich history of good guards that came out of Mary's.
100%.
And for some reason, like we didn't use, like I wasn't much smaller than I am now in high school.
No, he was pretty big already. Like you pretty much.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the same size. I put on a little bit of like muscle weight, but I'm basically the same size.
Like I used to in high school when I'd see him coming down the hallway, I'd be like, well,
it's the big show.
Remember that shit?
Oh yeah. The choke slam is gonna come down, baby. Oh yeah. 100%.
That was great.
Yeah. And again, that was like, that's what it was about. Like I fucking chose to play football because I didn't want to like lose a bunch of weight and devote myself to basketball because that's what I would have had to do.
Exactly.
So, but like all I really did was just like set high ball screens for Zach.
No, but
they were effective.
Yeah,
they were effective screens. Like
worked.
I wiped out a few people. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
But like,
you definitely got some fouls too.
Got some fouls. I used all fouls.
Yeah.
I tried to use all 5 every game. That was the goal. It's not. It's a goal. It's not actually.
I remember that.
Yeah. Try and get fouled out, but just at the end of the game when it's all said and done.
Right.
But yeah, again, like I don't know, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't like, you know, saying give me the fucking ball all the time.
No.
But it's an interesting thing when you have, like I was again much bigger than most of the kids that we played against. So
100%.
Just like an interesting thing about it, and it's obviously post bias, but like starting every series, like put in the post quick.
Yeah.
And I can kick it out. We can do all kinds of shit out of that.
Yeah.
And even if I like first 3 series of the game, you can just go boom, post entry.
Yeah.
And score, and then they'll figure it out, and then we move to something else.
You know what I remember us talking about? We're talking about it right now. I remember I was on the team for mostly the defensive kind of like,
oh yeah,
I was the glove kind of
100%.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No,
but
if we needed to lock down someone 100%, in zone type scenarios where you got to be mobile, you got to be again. Your awareness of the court was so crucial in those defensive scenarios.
Exactly. There were some 100%. Games where I would be on the court at the end of the game just for that.
Right.
Not because I was a scoring threat, but like I would just be on the court just catch a pass or something, or pick a pass or anything, like, you know what I mean? Inbound, whatever. I like, there was rarely, seldomly times where I drive in. There's one time I drove in and I was, it was at Cathedral.
Okay.
And I was going around and I went around Tyrone's back, but I couldn't really see you.
Yeah.
And I just went around.
Yeah.
And it was too low for you.
Fuck.
And I felt so good. And I never drive it in. So I was like, I better do something.
Yeah.
When I threw it, it was too low for you.
Oh, fuck.
They saw what I was trying to do, but it was like, fuck, I wasted it.
Oh, man. But yeah, again, like, those days, even when we were kind of at our height, but again, fucking grade 11, right back to fucking New Brunswick.
Oh, man.
Tremendous year because we were, again, probably top 4 kind of thing, right? And when you're not, when you're number one, it's a really weird thing. I mean, not everyone gets to, experience that kind of thing, but like everyone's coming for you and you have to maintain that.
Exactly.
Right? You have to maintain a thing of excellence. Again, everyone's trying to knock you off.
100%.
Right? Where when you're kind of where we were, there wasn't enough fire. You know what I mean? Like if we were like second, maybe if we had a chance, but like, STM was dominant, Cathedral was really strong when we were playing, like, fuck. Who was like, it was STM and Cathedral, right?
STM's Cathedral.
ACMT was super strong, but they weren't winning cities.
They never were, they were always a threat.
Yeah.
But we'd beat them.
Yeah.
We'd beat them.
Yeah.
We'd beat them. Because they had no structure.
They were single A and they would go and run single A.
Right.
Like, just destroy everyone because they've been playing a whole season against quad A teams.
Right.
And they would go to quad tournaments. And
like
then they'd go to OFSA and just kill.
I remember some of those guys. Kevin.
Yeah. Dan McAlonen.
Yeah.
I played Blessed with him. He was solid.
No, those guys were good. Elvis. Yeah. Those guys were good individually.
Right. That's what it was.
They had no structure.
And their coach was jokes. Remember the big ass coach, that big French guy?
Yeah.
He was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
He was like,
he was deep.
He was at least my size, if not bigger.
Yeah.
And just like, so scary. But actually a nice guy.
Yeah.
Actually a super nice guy.
It's crazy how we could recollect all these.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
13 years ago. Like, you know what I mean?
Jeez.
Anyways, what's going on with your new band? What
So Reckless Harbor, we've been doing a lot of stuff. We were just kind of talking a little bit about it before. We're at that phase now of kind of like we're trying to play as many shows as we can.
Yeah.
So anyone listening, if you got room for a 4-piece kind of folk band, hit us up. But yeah, it's like a really interesting project. Over the past couple of years, and like even so since school, right? Because like. I was doing the jazz band shit. Like we used to do all those coffee houses together and shit. Like
yes, I did.
Those times.
Yes, I did.
When Home Depot was coming out with the backpack.
Hey, you know what I just found? I found some. She's seen it too. A picture. Oh, my girlfriend's here.
Yeah.
Nina's
behind.
Nina's, yeah.
She's behind the camera.
/ my manager. I found some picture. Who was Netterveen.
Okay, yeah.
So Netterveen, she took some pictures at the. Okay. We had this end of the year thing, the fair or whatever. We had. Do you remember? We had it outside on the track.
Oh yeah.
It was like a fair. Like they had.
Yeah. 100%.
So they had performers.
Right.
I was performing on a stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
So Miss Netterveen, she took pictures.
Oh,
and I found one of them recently. I had these like Kanye glasses with the stripes.
The fucking shades.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So
man.
That was back in.
Those were the days, bro.
Those were the days, man.
Fucking polo, because we wore fucking. That was our uniform. We had to wear rock polo.
Yeah.
So it was like those fucking days, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, fucking coffee houses and shit, and like we kind of caught the bug back then. Like obviously,
100%.
And as much as Mary's was like fucking semi mediocre at sports, it was awesome at like get music, like putting music out there, putting on shows, like different little things.
Everything we did, like our sports were great too. Right. It's just we didn't have the numbers for certain teams.
No, we had fantastic athletes. I will 100% agree. We had good teams all together. Yeah. Like I had again tons of fun playing, and it was great. It's just but it's a shame that
I look back. Like, I would never. I'm so glad I because I was in the jurisdiction as for Cathedral.
True.
I had to take an interview.
Yep.
My aunt didn't want me to go to Cathedral. She wanted me to go to a nicer school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
that's basically what my mom said, because I could have went to Cathedral or BR. That's I was supposed to, like, all my boys went to BR.
Right.
And I was like, fuck BR, because this place fucking sucks. Yeah. Even though talk about music, they had a solid music program at BR. Yeah. Solid. But and like a legit auditorium, not a fucking cafetorium. Like we fucking But but yeah, like that whole thing was like, I was like, I'm not down for BR, and then my mom was like, don't go to Cathedral.
Right.
So I ended up at Mary's and had to do that whole thing.
I had to do the interview with Miss Shapola.
Right. Yep. Mr. Lemparski had to like vouch for me.
Oh, really?
He knew me from before because he was my uncle's buddy from time ago.
Lemparski.
He like gave me the tour of St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his daughter was there too, right?
His daughter was a teacher when we were there. Yeah. Yeah, she actually was dating the bass player of Alexis on Fire for a bit.
No way.
And that was fucking sick.
I had no idea she was doing that. Yeah. I remember, you know what's funny? There was 2 times I ran into teachers outside of school.
Okay.
One, I was still in high school.
Okay.
Grade 12. It might have been my grade plus year.
Okay.
And I was at I don't know if it's still there. There was an LCBO on Dunder.
Yep.
I was there and I'm standing in line. Mm-hmm. And I look over and I see G looking at me. She's just like, look at that. Oh my gosh, that shit was hilarious. He's just grinning. He's just like,
all the fucking people in the city too. Jesus. I think the only time I ever got baked at Mary's, G fucking knew.
Oh yeah,
but he couldn't say because when I smoked weed, and it definitely happened back then because I was less aware of it. My eyes go fucking mad red. Like I need Visine or I'm booked, right? And I didn't really
story. Keep going though. Yeah,
right. I didn't really realize, and I fucking go with the Bon Jays. Shout out the Bon Jay twins.
Bon Jays.
And we go and fucking smoke like legit, like hash bottles, like serious, like not even just like, oh, let's go smoke a joint.
Right.
It was like we're getting baked. I'm sure Doug was there too. Anyway, classic crew.
Yeah.
And I was cheeched out of my fucking mind, and I fucking come back to class, and like Frank Despon fucking called me out hard. Everyone was like, obviously Mark's baked, but I never did it before, and I never did it again.
Right.
So I didn't really give anyone a chance to be like, yo, I'm gonna keep an eye on him, and next time I see him, call him out. But like I knew because I walked by G, and he was just like, what the fuck is that? Again, like obviously, because it's like it's bad.
But at least like you had the height advantage.
Mm-hmm. Just like look up at the ceiling, like, oh, what's that? It's just like the ceiling reflecting on the ceiling's white.
There's this place that Isaac Leon and all those guys, they used to call it Narnia or whatever. There's this little fucking it's close to the bus stop,
right?
On what is that, Rifle Range?
Like on the other side, like near the there's Rifle Range and Whitney.
Exactly. So on Rifle Range on the other side, there was like a bush, and then like you could just go behind it or whatever. There was any which way. This was my birthday.
Yeah.
This was my birthday, and at lunchtime they're like, "Yo, Devo, it's your birthday, bro." I think it was like Kevin Ehrman or something.
Yeah.
And we went out. And maybe John O'Neill, I think too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been John O'Neill. Anyway, we went out there, and they were what did they call them? Like not poppers, but where you'd cut a Coke bottle in half or whatever, and then in
like
a jug.
Buckets, pails,
buckets. Yeah. So I hit a bucket.
Yeah. That was the first time I ever smoked weed. It was Christian Smith.
Okay.
Doing
Christian
a bucket
Smith, yeah.
with a 500 ml bucket.
Oh my
500 ml
gosh.
bottle, small
Yeah,
bucket.
yeah. So this was the first time I ever did that.
Nice.
I'm like, whatever. All right, cool.
Right.
So I'm in my head. I'm like, I'm not gonna like take the whole thing. I'm like, yo, Devo, man, I'm watching you. Like, so I hit the whole thing.
Right.
So I know if I cough, I'm done.
Sure. You gotta hold it together.
Yeah. No, I'm like, I'm dying. I'm dying.
Right.
I'm like, and then I even stay back. This is on lunch break. I even stay back a little bit.
Sure.
Like, so I'm like, all right, I gotta get it together. So I went into I gotta get back. I went into the washroom. I look in the mirror. My eyes my eyes are like blood, like more bloodshot, like the like the box of Visine, like the actual box, the red. Like I'm redder than that. Red on the like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's just the eye on it. It's just red.
It's just straight red.
Yeah. So I'm looking and I'm like, what? And so you know whose class I had? I made up this nickname. I used to call him Downtown Jim Brown.
Okay.
I had law class. Right. Bro.
No.
So I'm walking in the law. I walk in late.
Yeah.
And I sit down. And Jim, you remember Jim Brown? Jim Brown's looking at me like,
oh no.
He doesn't say anything though. Till this day, I'm like, yo, he knew what was going on. But he knew it was my birthday too, and I'm not like that. Just like you said it. You're not like that. I'm not. I wasn't like that smoking weed all the time.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So it's just like
reputation.
Exactly. So he's just looking at me like,
oh no.
And I know it's like I know.
Right.
So let's just
So we're not gonna say anything.
Right.
And like but like I said, if we ever did it again, it probably would have became something else. And that's what it was.
Fair game.
That's what it was.
That's fair game.
And you'd have to be like fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But yeah, like those fucking days, like we're the fucking shit, and like we're again happy, and like, oh fuck, it reminded me when you were telling about where Narnia was. I remember one time, I think it might have been after a football practice, but we were out there listening to Chaos. Do you remember that? It was like, I still think about this every time I hear Heaven Only Knows.
Heaven only knows. Yeah.
'Cause I don't understand. Won't you tell me, please, what's the master plan? Spend so many days sitting on a cloud. Heaven only knows. So I'll just move around.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Unreal.
There we go.
So I remember us listening to that because I was like, yo, I like Chaos. And you're like, me too. I've been listening forever.
Yes.
And you turned me on to that because that was early shit, because that was like when we were in high school.
Yeah, but that's when I was listening. I was that in that backpack kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I was listening to Common and those things at the time. Yeah.
And again, that was like our cool, like we had that opportunity to do sports and the music.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Which again was nice that Mary's
I do remember that.
Right?
I do remember that. That's crazy you brought that up.
Yeah. Like I said, I still remember that when I hear that song. And again, it's just like that thing where not everyone really knows, because sports is interesting. I always say it's really close to music. Mm-hmm. And like especially what's happening with my band now, like everyone's pulling their own weight. Everyone's doing their own thing. They're playing their parts. They're doing their individual thing.
Right.
And I've really only been, doing that in bands. And again, over COVID was in a couple bands, tried to do something in university, and everyone did their own thing. But again, you try and do it in bands, and it's always really interesting because again, teamwork, this and that. But when you're doing more of a solo thing like yourself, obviously, then it becomes, I'm sure, more like an individual sport. No,
it is.
Like, how would it be like that? Would you say that?
I compete. This is all right. I would agree.
Okay.
But for me, I think it's all relative. For me, I have contemporaries, and I have myself. Right. Sometimes I push sometimes for me personally, sometimes it's more people. Like, all right, I'll see one of my friends drop something. All right. It's not so much I'm gonna do better than them, but like, watch this. You know what I mean? And that goes the same for them.
Yeah.
That will push each other in a way of not necessarily trying to top, but trying to bring up each other's talent, skill level,
right? Which is that's a really cool thing, and I love that about like when any music scene can do that, because there's, historically, I've talked about on the podcast a bunch of times, like grunge in Seattle, right? It came out of Seattle. Yeah. It came from this place of everyone was really working together and pushing each other, because that's what it is, right? Like it's friendly competition. Again, it's hard to say competition because it's art, and art is subjective. It is. Like even fucking a Grammy, like you're given an award for art, like it's fucking subjectivity. Yes, it's a goal, and it's something to achieve, and it would be fucking amazing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not fucking turning down a Grammy. Yeah. But or Juno, whatever. But again, it's an interesting thing when you think about subject, and you think about some of the fucking artists that you've heard that no one knows about, and you're like, this is some fucking Grammy shit.
This is some Grammy-worthy music,
right?
Yes, or this is some Oscar-worthy acting,
right? Or it doesn't. It puts you in winning that shit puts you in a place. But again, art, greatness exists wherever the art exists,
and it's subjective in what you want your art to do. Do you want your art to be something that is winning Grammys, critically acclaimed, or do you want it to impact people?
Right.
What are you making it for?
Right.
What you want to do is just as important as why.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just like it depends on what you seek out of it.
Sure.
And then is it doing that? Why isn't it doing that? Is it doing something else? Is it gonna reach a certain place that you're trying to get it to? Are you doing everything you need to be doing? Are you, like, you have to ask? Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it,
and that's some, I feel, sometimes the questions that some, again, when you're a solo artist, you have only yourself in that way, right? Where it's like you have to be able to push yourself, you have to be able to self-motivate in that sense, or again, like you're doing, look to your peers kind of thing, right?
Me as a rapper, right? I have to find the motivation whenever it comes. Not only that, I heard J. Cole say something interesting. He had like a mini doc, and he was talking about how he had to force himself to write a song every day, and just keep because in his slump, in his writer's block, you got to sharpen the knife.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's that interesting thought of again, you're gonna write probably 1,000 fucking bad songs till you write one good one that's fucking, oh my gosh, blow your head off. But in those, in all those,
for
like,
me, it's the opposite. Like, I write a bunch of good shit and then I bite it,
Exactly. And if we could all be so lucky, I wish. But no, again, that whole idea that I think Kanye did say, I forgot better shit than you ever thought of, right?
Yeah.
So again, you have to come up with so much fucking shit that you're even forgetting it.
Yeah.
To come up with, to be cutting edge. Yes. And that's that exact thing you said, where you have to sharpen that knife. And that's literally that idea. You're cutting edge. You're on that fucking tip. And the blade only gets sharp by cutting.
100%.
Right? And that's the weirdest thing.
I feel the best music now. All right. The best music to me is the music that, all right, one, solely it resonates with you. It comes from a real place. Whether it be a good place, bad place, but it's real.
Sure. And
when it's real, it's bound to resonate with some, because if it's real, people go through real shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, I bet you if it's coming from a real place, it's going to touch people. It may not touch everyone, or in a vast sense of a hit or anything like. But if it does its job, to me, it's gonna touch someone deeper than it would touch a mass collective of people. But it'll change a life.
If you can change someone's life, again, it means so much more than just being able to again, have this mass appeal, have this like, you're top. Again, yes, all that stuff would be fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but when the heart of it does come from, that true, earnest feeling of like, I actually want to change someone. And I remember there's this wicked documentary called Metal: A Headbanger's Journey.
Okay.
And it's this dude literally did like an anthropology, his like fucking thesis to get his doctorate was based on this. Like he created this huge family tree of like metal, like hard rock bands,
right,
and like where they started, and like because there's like all these different subgenres, right? Again, similar to hip hop, where there's many different subgenres, like any genre, and where they all come from and their influences and how they got there. And it's always fascinating that Bruce Dickinson, he's the lead singer of Iron Maiden.
Okay.
He said when he plays a show, and this guy plays like in fucking arenas, right? He says when he plays a show, he tries to find the guy in the back, the very back, like the guy's like, you know, like whatever, can barely even see the band. He's like, I'm trying to look right at that guy and go, you. And the guy's in the back going like, me? Like, yeah. And he tries to sing right to that, like, and like being able to do that and cross again, that's playing from the heart.
100%.
Right? I think is where it's it. And I mean, that's obviously the perfect fucking way to say it, because that's what you're, that's what your whole, like.
Well, my whole collective, Homers with a Heart, that's what it's about.
Yep.
I want to leave something. I want to leave something long after I'm gone. I always when people ask me what it's about, like I want to basically when you look at when you look at when you look at my logo, I don't want it to be thought of as like a music brand. Like I want it to be in likes of long after I'm gone. Like when you see the Amnesty International, when you see the UN,
right,
when you see the WWF, not old wrestling, I'm talking the World Wildlife, like I want Red Cross, like I want it to be a symbol of like I can go get help, I can, even if it's food, even if it's a place to sleep, if it's anything. But I'm doing it through. I'm trying to get there through this music. I'm trying to I feel like I have a gift to do it, so I'm trying to get there by using what I've been blessed with, and I can't stop. Like I gotta get there. And it's not. It's funny because when you think of like. I'm doing it because that's what gives me joy. So in a way, it's like it's selfish because I'm doing it for others, but it's for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But that's what it's about, and it's.
But I think in that sense, I used to have this argument with a friend of mine, not an argument, but philosophical debate,
right, about
is there such thing as a truly selfless act? Because eventually, it's it does benefit everyone, and then if it benefits everyone, you're still gaining something from it,
right?
And not to say that there's no such thing as a selfless intention. I think there's many. I think you can lead and act selflessly,
right?
But I think because I think if we go even deeper, there's like we're all in this together. That idea of that I am you, you are me. We're not
the kumbaya.
What we see as separate beings isn't necessarily separate. Like yes, we appear as though we are three different people in this room.
Yeah,
but like truthfully, right? Like
you're touching on. I have a song coming out where I go deep into that.
Right, the collective unconscious.
Yeah,
right?
Oh yeah,
and that collective unconscious does exist, whether we see it as something that's like kind of woo spiritual, or something that's true. There is this shared human knowledge, especially, and you can even if you just want to call it the fucking internet, if you want to be plain and simp, call it the internet, where we have all this shared human knowledge, right? That's like there's that we all have access to right now. We can go into it. We have a connection that exists through all people, and again, and it exists on a spectrum from that to like we truly are not different people. We are, even if you want to get down to it, we're just individual nodes of something that it exists.
One of the lines is, if you separate our differences, then tell me what the difference is.
Yeah.
We're all different, but we're all the same because all of our differences are definitive. So
100%.
Everything that makes me different from you is the same thing that makes you different from her.
Yep.
But we all have our own definitive differences.
Yep.
So we're more alike than.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're 99% alike. Yeah. Everyone on this planet is 9% alike. There's that 1% is a big difference.
Like in high school, you were black.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
That's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
And then over time things change.
Yeah. We evolve.
But like that 1% is a difference, you know, in people's circumstances and things like that. But when we do come together and we do look at it, like, yes, like there is no difference, you know, in that experience of what it is to, you know, be alive essentially. Right. And again, there's many different circumstances out there, but when you know, you were saying it before, like people want to feel, they want to be free of concern, right? 100%. And if we're able to provide that, right?
Everyone wants to love and be loved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's comfort. It's that feeling of, okay, now I'm safe, like you said, right? Like home, you know, feeling
home is where the heart is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that feeling of being home is universal, right? And, you know, I feel sorry for the people that may or may not feel that or haven't had the chance of feeling that. But again, if the more and more we can spread that, and like you said, you feel like you have a gift. And I feel like many artists say that, where there's something that we've been given and something that we've also worked hard to cultivate. Right. But again, we were given that, you know, that seed, and we worked on planting it and worked on growing it. And we want to share the fruit. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I want. It's all right. If I can say I make it, not if but when, and I get there and I accumulate all these things, fiscally and materially things, and I go do whatever there is to do. And everything there is to do, go wherever there is to go and do everything. And then I come home, and then what? Right. I don't have a family. Right. I don't have a wife. Yep. I don't have no one to share anything with. Right. No one to. I don't do anything for anyone. Right. That's why you see a lot of people. As I said earlier, what you're doing is just as important as why. Yep. Because if you go out and do all those things and then you have no one to share it with, or there's no purpose behind it other than to get it. Yep. If that's your goal, I just want to be rich. I just want to be famous. When you get that, then what? Yeah. And that is the most empty feeling.
Then what, man? Yeah. Like that whole concept. Yeah. Then what?
Then what?
You can fucking talk about that for hours, right? Because it's like, you know, because that the goalposts will keep moving. Right. They will always keep moving because 100%. there's this whole idea, I've mentioned it before. You know, if you're fucking alone in the woods, it's cold, you have no clothes, it's raining. If someone gives you clothes and a shelter and food, you go from being really unhappy to really happy. Right. In a really quick sentence with things. Like, yes, you had nothing and someone gave you something. Right. So things are important. We can obviously agree on that. But if you have $1 million and I was saying $2 million, are you twice as happy? Right.
Hey, if you go to McDonald's, if you go to McDonald's and you have you both have value meals, right? But you guys are laughing and you're happy and everything.
Yeah, man.
The food tastes good.
If you go from I will say this: if you go from a single cheeseburger to a McDouble, you are twice happy.
That's very true.
You are twice as happy.
Yeah, that's very true.
But yes, it's true. It's where, you know, again, that this whole concept is beautiful. The home is where the heart is, because that's that same idea. It's where you're at, where you're having the most fun, where there's love, and where there's heart is home. And that's 100%. Right. And that's the idea. And you know, life is what you make it kind of thing. And again, there's people who accumulate and just want more and more. Again, they're just going to keep going, and fucking skid into the grave kind of thing. It's just going to be this upward trajectory that just keeps going. You never chill out. You just fucking rip it and you're done. Mm-hmm. Whereas when people again are leading with love and leading with that, I think we're trying to get to a place where we can feel comfort and we can provide other people that same comfort too.
100%.
Right. And it's always tough again, doing all this shit on our own too. And like, without the community. So again, this is why you want to cultivate community. And I think that's so important. And that's where good things grow. And I know you kind of mentioned before
in Ontario.
Yeah. Good things grow in Ontario. That's right. But like, I know you mentioned before too, like where, you're working with other artists and stuff that are in the scene.
Yeah. And
it's not necessarily competitive, but you're lifting each other up and standing, because as everyone else gets better, the art form just gets better, right?
Yeah. I really love the team I have around me. Well, it's not so much a team, but like the guys that I work with. Shout out to Channing Rec Zone. Shout out to my brother, Dom Alley. I think I sent you a couple songs, right?
Yeah.
He's Dom, he's on a couple of the songs that I sent you.
Okay.
It's funny you bring up that dynamic, because he's the one that pushes me the most.
Yeah.
Artistically, where I wasn't singing before. He was singing. He encouraged me to start trying to find my voice and everything, and some of the songs on the album are going to be, some of my best ones are going to be with me having vocals on them. Like, you know what I mean? I know he's told me, he's like, we've been out and he's been like, man, I'm not even front. Sometimes I've been jealous, because like when I see you drop something, I was like, now I got to drop something. Like, but like, since we're brothers, it's not like, it's not like any super, because jealousy and envy can be a bad thing.
Sure. Yeah, it can erode. Yeah.
It can erode for sure, and it can make people do things that are outside the box and out of character.
Oh yeah.
But we've had our ups and downs, but like we're brothers, like, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like we haven't went too far to where it's just like, and I don't think we could, because I don't think we're capable of doing that. But just having, I think in this music industry, like with this album I'm coming out with,
when's it coming out, by the way?
November.
Yeah.
November.
Check it out.
Yeah. Calm Before the Storm coming out in November. I've been working on this since high school.
Amazing.
Like not in the sense of some of the songs, but like I'm just myself.
Yep.
And trying to come out with something, a body of work that I was mature enough to drop.
Yep.
Due to different circumstances, different things that I had going on, still have going on. But I've just come to a point in my life where I'm more tenured, more seasoned.
Yep.
I know how to articulate myself, and I can get out my ideas. There's a lot of things that were swirling around in my head that I couldn't put down or couldn't articulate properly.
Yep.
But now I think I'm not a young grasshopper no more. I'm ready. I'm a sensei.
That's
it.
Like
that's how I feel,
And that's what it is. It is a practice, right? It's like a martial art, right? They call it a practice for a reason, because you're always trying to get better.
Yeah.
And it's interesting in artists' careers, right? They have these moments where you hit these levels of maturity, because this will keep going on, right?
100%.
It'll keep happening in your career. Where,
I hope it never stops.
Exactly. It'll never stop, and that's what we want to keep. We want to just keep leveling up that way, and that's the only way you can do it, right? Is by again accepting where you are, looking back at it, knowing, okay, I was at a place, but never sitting back and being like, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, never being too complacent.
Exactly.
Don't procrastinate. Don't be complacent.
You can always get better.
Right. Always. You're never done.
And those moments of maturity, and especially in any artist career, right? Yeah. Like you get those you get those moments where finally you can get that stuff out. You know, people sit on things for so many times.
Right.
They say a lot of bands' best albums sometimes are their first album because it's basically their whole life
that they worked. Jay-Z said that.
Right.
Jay-Z never dropped his first album until he was 26, and he said I've been working my whole life to drop this album.
Yeah.
And it's like I think that's where I'm at.
Yep.
I've been keep in mind there's a lot of like the oldest song on this album was made 2016.
Okay.
I might have sent it to you actually.
I think I remember back in the day.
Yeah. And there's a lot of old ideas that I just recently recorded.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes I have folders and books full of shit I forgot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like but there's a lot of ideas now that sometimes I've made a skeleton to a song, right?
Yep.
This is my process now. Like I'll hear a beat and either the whole song will come to me right away, and I'm actually rushing to get it down before I forget it.
Right.
And I need to be like, leave me alone. Right. Like, you know what I mean? But don't say nothing to me.
Right.
It'll be like that. It'll be like, or I'll hear the chorus, and I'll hear the vibe of the song.
Right.
So I'll make that skeleton, and I might even have a verse for it.
Right.
But not the other two or not another one.
Right.
And then I'll just leave it there, and sometimes it'll sit there, and then I'll hear another beat, and I'll be like, I don't even want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? I want to throw this onto that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of that going on,
and it's tough.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. And I find a lot of times now. I think because technology has got to a place where it's actually really easy to do a lot of changes and stuff, like with recording and, you know, software we're recording on right now. You can go in and fucking literally infinite shit. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Anything.
You can twist the knobs all day and change it to exactly how you want forever. And the hardest part about that, and I always talk about this because my pops is a blacksmith, right? And I always say, like, you can polish a hole in something. Like, you can't just grind metal all day long if it's hollow. You can't grind all day because eventually you're gonna grind right through it. Right. It's like and there's this saying where it's like an artist painting is never done because there's always one more brush stroke. There's always one little thing you can do, and you'll never finish it. But the most important thing is actually getting it out. Exactly, finishing it and putting it out there, because with any writing, right? Like, I think whether it's fucking stand-up comedians, whether it's books, whether it's music, you have to kind of test it on people sometimes too, right? Like,
we'll work it out. Just like stand-up comedians, you work it out.
Our boy Derek Kalala, he's a stand-up comedian now.
No way.
Yeah.
No.
He's like, he's a legit stand-up. Yeah, man. Yeah. Unreal.
I'm already laughing.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out Derek. There's another one.
Yo, shout out Derek, man. Yeah. That's crazy. I got to check that out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Again, like that whole concept of working material out, right? Like but the only way you can do it is by putting it out there. And I'm sure there's tons of people out there. There might be even someone listening to this right now that has all this shit, but has never put it out. And like you said, you got to be doing something to do it.
Right.
And you got to put it out.
You got to put it out. Like, case in point, my album isn't done. It won't be done until it comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
I just said I've been, it's been so long. I can confidently say I have enough done where it's gonna come out in November.
Yep.
I threw it out there
right
now because it's kind of like, I already said it now. Yep. It's out in the universe. Yeah. It's coming out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to hold back. By the end of November, it's out.
Yeah.
You know, I already said it. So, whatever I have done, it'll be done. Most of it's done anyway.
Yeah.
It's just, it'll, sometimes you need to fucking light a fire under your ass.
It's the only way to do it, man.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes
it's like this. Like I said it, I think when I first started the podcast, I was saying, like, whatever I say on here, I have to do. Like I had to do fucking whole sober October because I said I'd do it.
There we go.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah. And like, that's where again, like, you know, it's again, there's always I like to look at it like there's always a spectrum, right? You can look at things like completely spiritual, full of faith. You can look at things like that. You can look at things completely scientifically and cold and calculating and logistically, right? Like, so whether it's like The Fucking Secret or just like, again, saying something and putting it out there where you know other people are going to hear it, you want to live up to your word.
Right.
We're putting it out into the universe that this is what we're going to do.
Exactly.
Right. And it's really interesting that that all it is essentially is goal setting, but when you actually say it and you bring it into words, you truly
have to manifest it
because it exists. Like if we're talking again about the collective unconscious again,
right?
You know what exists up here, or whatever that idea is, it has to then come through us as a channel,
right?
Right, and the more you are, you know, they call it. That's why they call it like in the groove, because you're making a channel, right?
Exactly,
and you're creating that, and then sometimes you fall out of it and whatever. But if you can somehow keep that channel open for as long as, and those moments where you're scrambling, writing down lyrics, that's when the channel is open.
100%.
Right. And you are you are then essentially no longer doing it. Right. And that's in the flow, and that's amazing. Right. Like something's coming through you.
Right.
Whatever it might be, just creativity.
It's literally, and I love the way you articulate that, because it's like, it's literally, I can't explain it to you. I don't know where it comes from. You could practice it. Yeah. You could sharpen that tool. But like when it comes and it's just a stream of consciousness to you, I don't know where that comes from.
Nope.
I don't know where that comes from. Some people say it's God. Some people say it's whatever. Like
heaven only knows.
Heaven only knows, right? But like, I know God gave me this gift. Right. I'll tell you that. But like, I don't know what, like how it just streams through me where I'm thinking of words and it's just coming and I'm writing it and it just so happens to rhyme, but it's telling a story at the same time, so eloquently, so articulate. Yep. And
or like in a jam freestyle scenario,
right,
where things are coming off the top of your head.
Off the top of your head.
Which is an interesting phrase if you think about it like that. Off the top of your head, right? It's coming from like up. What does that mean? Like everything is always up here, right? You think about higher power. All the verbiage is high. It's up here. Right. Channeling through, like coming down. Like, there's something.
They don't say, oh, that went over you.
Right. Or like I'm flying by the seat of my pants. It's not necessarily good. But again, so like opening and trying to be that channel, and again, it really doesn't come from anywhere else other than just doing it and doing it.
You got to do
it. Yeah.
You got to do
it. That's why I always say it's like sports, because you feel sometimes in sports when that happens, right? You know, you play in any sport and everyone's clicking. You don't have to say anything. Everyone's in the right spot at the right time. You know, you're fucking putting the ball exactly where you want to put it. Right. You know, the fucking quarterback's throwing it to you perfectly. You're fucking kicking it exactly where you want. You're fucking just like seeing the chord, like all of that stuff, those moments of flow, right? Is, you know, I remember like, you know, talking about this in school and stuff, and like, you know, it's a flow state. It's a measurable psychological state. Right. But again, on the other side of the spectrum, it's like you're completely in the zone. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Where you're completely, you know, I don't know. Like we said, we don't know who's making the decisions at that point, right? It's hard to say it's yourself, even though it is.
Right. Like it's coming through you.
Yeah.
But is it fully you? It's coming through you.
Like I've been in jams and shit where I'm like, man, the bass line's kind of good. Like who's playing that? I'm like, oh, it's me.
It's me.
Right? Because again, you just get so you can get so into things, right?
We're vessels, man.
Yeah. Yes.
We're vessels.
And that's the thing is I think sometimes we can get caught up in thinking that we're not that, or we are just moving about things based on our own decisions,
right?
And it's all
us. No. Because I've been through a lot of shit where like if certain shit didn't happen at certain times, things would be a lot different. Yeah. There's been many times where simplest things where I didn't set an alarm, but somehow I just, yeah,
man,
with just enough time.
Sure.
To do what I have to do to get out the door.
And have we just been like programmed and raised in a culture that's like, you have to do this, you have to set alarms, because if you don't, you might not. Like, what if we leaned into that whole feeling of like, we'll wake up when we need to wake up? It's tough. It's tough because maybe you don't. But that's but is that? But am I just culture? Am I just saying that?
Or are you just saying that because maybe if you thought I'm going to wake up. Right? I'm gonna wake up.
Or we could live in a society where it's like, I fucking slept in for a second. Oh, no worries.
No worries.
Like, you know what I mean? Then we wouldn't be so fucking scared. Have to set 50 fucking alarms or whatever.
Right. But maybe if we lived in that society, no one would be late.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, rules, they say, not to be cliche, but rules are meant to be broken and stuff. And I think that's the thing. It's like, I saw this TikTok or whatever the other day, and someone was like, there's certain things that I'll gladly do if it's my own idea. But if someone tells me to do it, I don't want to do that fucking shit at all. Right? Like, when we were kids, like, clean your fucking room. Like, you could clean your own fucking room, like, when you want it and be like, I'll tidy things up and it's all good. You'll do it. You'll make it nice.
Jordan Peterson?
Someone was like, I don't know. Is that what he said?
He says,
clean your room.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Fuck. Shit. I shouldn't have said that. No, but again, like, or like do the dishes.
Yeah,
or like some shit like that. Like,
no, it's a sense of, being rebellious, right?
It's what it is, right? So it's always interesting. I mean, like, again, when there are rules in place, it seems logical. It seems like there should be. But they tend, the people, because there's human choice, people tend to break the rules. The only time, again, is in sport where you actually have rules and you have a referee.
Well,
but in life, we don't necessarily have
that. Within that, we're all playing within those rules, right?
Yeah.
In life, I don't think it's that black and white. No pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah. The refs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but like, all right, you're right about that because like when for instance, all right, when we were younger, right, we were leaning. We didn't lean into things that. Don't get me wrong. This helps us. Like we have access to everything,
right?
But I don't remember. I know my phone number,
right?
But like,
that's what I'm saying.
After that,
oh no. No. Fuck. But that's the thing. But this is the thing is like, does it make you better? Like if, I think Einstein even said there's no point of remembering something you can look up because it takes up, if you can just easily look up something, if you could easily just hit it in a calculator,
right? There's
no point of actually devoting your brain to just remembering shit again that you can easily look up.
I feel the other side of that is we are more capable of what we push ourselves to be.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, when the Greeks invented writing, essentially, or like put writing in tablets, there were people going, we shouldn't do this because we're going to lose our memories. Like every time there's a bump in technology, there's some naysayers being like, this is going to fuck us over.
Right.
And maybe in some ways those ancient Greeks were right. Because our fucking memory's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
But if they didn't allow writing, there'd be nothing.
There'd be
no nothing. Right?
Exactly.
So again, it's kind of those things where that's why I always lean back on like, have we just been like used to a certain way in culture and like that's how we do things and tradition, which is important. Again, it's always a weird fucking line because some tradition is important. I think in some senses the fact that we've gotten away from so much tradition is why a lot of people are kind of lost.
100%.
There's no feeling of like, oh, all my ancestors have been through the same shit.
Yeah.
At least even this one part of this tradition, all my ancestors have done.
100%. I agree with that.
We've gotten so far away from that.
So far away from
people are like, I don't know who I am anymore.
Well, we got so far away in tradition where people, oh my, we can, like, for instance, with roles. With how things because I understand we don't want to be stereotyped into certain things,
right.
But there's things are the way they are for a reason. Mm-hmm. They were.
And if we can find a way to celebrate that and then celebrate again those said differences and then learn from each other.
There's power within the way things were.
It's just unfortunately, again, for either just natural reasons or other reasons where there's more nefarious reasons to keep us separated. We've kind of like separated into different groups and feel again those differences that should not be there. And if we could sit and learn from each other, then it only enriches our lives 100%. Without being like, hey, you should do it this way. No, it's just like, hey, this is how we do it.
This is how we do it.
This is fun over here. But
right. It's not like it's not. As you just said, it's not you have to do it this way because this is how it was, and it's just learning from how things were and seeing the power within why was it done this way for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just because like history writes itself, right? Or it's sometimes rewritten and it's re-repeated, right? So when you guys are talking about roles, I know you're thought of like what gender roles, sexual roles.
Not necessarily, but yeah.
I'm just saying like that's kind of what it ties back into.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, like currently what's happening, right? That's why people feel so lost. But historically, there's a reason why it's been so lost because like after the war times, right? Things have broken to the point where because we really broke it after the industrial period, and then that war came out, and where women had to work because they had to give you guys like the men tools to go to war.
Yeah, women worked. When men went off to war in World War II, women worked in the factories actually.
Exactly. They were engineers. They were
totally.
Yeah. They had to. They were nurses. They were the ones who were supplying men in order, to win the war, right? But then once that's all gone, there was like so many studies on how they had to reverse that, right? Like where there was like a lot of articles saying, now that the men are back and the men, it was weird because there's another like a psychology thing there too because then men kind of felt broken coming back as well.
Sure.
Right. So,
I was about to touch on that. Yeah. They had to reverse it because it was men. A lot of men didn't know what to fucking do with themselves anymore. Yeah.
Like the
Sure. It's so true.
Yeah.
Like the whole identity was lost. I mean,
right.
Even the kids that came out of the parents that went through all this.
Yep.
There's power struggle.
Yep.
There's a different financial struggle.
Big time.
Like the entirety of what was is now incomplete. Right?
Yep.
Like it's just this
unknown,
this weird unknown that we've never been through.
Right.
So.
Yeah, 100%. And then all of a sudden with things changing and prices changing and more people and both parents having to work or even having single parents and stuff doing things like that. It's or no parents where now there's so much again that financial pressure is there to then go out and make money just so you can fucking survive basically. So
the change in how economy was now part of survival.
Totally.
Because before you think about it, it was about trades. Because survival wasn't about money.
No.
It was never about that in the beginning. Like you have nomad history. It was not about that. The traditions were based on how to survive within the environment. But now that the environment has grown to a global state, the changes in that again were the unknown.
So true.
Developed new professions like an economist. Sorry, I'm an economy analyst.
Oh, cool.
So like that's what I do. So,
oh, perfect.
These are like really interesting, but I study geography and environmental studies.
Yeah.
Specifically in geography, like local geography, and how does the economy actually affect that? So it's just interesting.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, again, I'll absolutely like everything there makes so much sense, right? Where again, that effect comes in and it's forcing people where essentially we've shifted and, we were again based on the survival thing where it was literally like life and death survival. And then it moved into much more faith-based where, everything was run by the church. Everything was decided by the church. The state and church were not separate. Right? Exactly. And then the monarchy come in and they basically are a mix of church and state.
Yeah.
And then we moved into this whole thing where it's just government. And basically since fucking World War II, at least, maybe even before, no one trusts the government anymore.
Yeah.
So now we've fallen back to the families or like traditional stuff, but no one has any fucking traditions anymore. Or it's concrete.
With the Greeks and how they had to write things down. It's like that time when we actually forgot, like the Romans' time when they actually forgot how to make cement.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, and it's funny because they say knowledge skips a generation every once in a while because so I heard this on a podcast. Someone didn't know that you're not supposed to put metal in a microwave, which is out of this world. But it's like was a younger person in the generation younger than us.
Yeah.
And she didn't know that you weren't supposed to put metal in the microwave. And the idea behind that is that the generation that grew up with the microwave which is only like 2 generations older than us.
It's not that old.
Right, basically. Like our not, I guess not official generations, but like, you know, our grandparents essentially like were born into a world where there was no microwave, and then they see the microwave, so they learn all about it. They're kind of sketched out about it, but it exists. Then their kids get into it. You know, you can look at any technology, right? Then their kids get into it. They learn how to use it. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're not supposed to do it. They teach their kids this. Okay. And that's where the knowledge stops, because then those kids don't think you have to teach the next their kids
They think it goes without saying.
They just think, oh yeah, obviously you don't put fucking metal in the microwave.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, precisely, right. And that's where actually traditions truly exist. That's where traditions and myth exist, because they're stories that impart some type of knowledge. You know.
It's just reiterating the story.
Precisely. Yeah. Everything. Right. And then art and the way we're trying to do things, we're trying to interpret some of that, like the feeling aspect of things. And that's why myths and legends and traditions and things like that are so important, is because they basically encode knowledge with like a song or like some type of, visual aspect, so like you're remembering that shit. Right, they're teaching you this shit and you are gonna fucking remember it, because it's, you know, the foods, like everything, you're like this, all those senses are being hit, and you're gonna remember that shit. And then again, it's like, you know, any story, right, like has a moral, right? And that's the idea, where you're imparting this knowledge through tradition, and you're doing that. And because we've gotten away from it, and just based on that we have, you know, the internet in our hands, it's becoming a crutch, I think, too much. Right?
It becomes a crutch, and it's a tool and a crutch, because like you can I use it for so many different things. Like, well, I think one of the biggest crutches I noticed within myself is actual spelling of words. Yeah, because the spell check is crazy to me, because like I was a dude that I'm good with words, like I'm good with writing, and like but then I started to notice over the years, like I wasn't as good. Like there's a lot of words that I started to type, but I was like, I never actually, I say this word all the time, I never wrote it down. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to spell it on spell check. I figure it out. But like what I had to decide was, like, I have to use this spell check as like just a tool rather than you decide for yourself, because I decided once I found out how this word is really spelled to make the effort to actually learn it rather than just rely on it.
100%.
You know what I mean? I learned it, and next time I spell it, I should know. Yeah. And does it bug you? Does it bug you that you don't know how to spell it? Because if it doesn't, then you know what I mean? Yeah. So,
but again, even think about kids being born right now. Like they're being born into a world where it isn't actually necessary. And that's the sad part. Like technically, you know, like we were still writing fucking notes by hand back in the day.
Right. And like if we wanted to go find a word, literally the dictionary. That's it. You had.
If cursive writing is still going to exist.
No, probably not. Right?
It's not.
Think about it, right?
Yeah, seriously.
So technology, I would say, is more like a curse and a gift.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, again, like
cursive writing. I learned how to cursive before print, actually.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
Like back grade 3.
right. What
yeah, all of our parents shit. Yeah, 100%.
You have to learn to read it.
Yeah,
right.
My printing is actually a mix.
Yeah.
Of
I have a lot of my words connect for sure, especially if I'm doing like shorthand kind of thing.
Like if you look at my in my books and like in my old writing books and shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mixing. There's a lot of like the E's that are just the loop.
Right.
And then going into the V's.
Right.
And then O's and then the N's and like it's a lot of mix.
Letters connect for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you can still read it though.
Yeah.
I was me personally. I was always good at that.
No, like reading it, like you know how you like have when after years your
Oh, I could read
changes?
my.
So you can't actually like.
No, my writing was always good though.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I know what she's saying.
Like,
Yeah.
like, it was like really good and then developed into this weird.
Becomes like a
scrawl.
sketch. Yeah.
Like a doctor's note.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that too, because it's actually interesting, like, you know, almost writing in different styles too. Like when you're writing a certain song, sometimes you're feeling a certain way, and like that can kind of come through, right? Like I've seen certain artists, like their different songs are almost like written completely different, right? Because that in a sense is when you're into that kind of thing, you know, that moment where you're writing it, you know, you're feeling a certain way.
I've written a lot of songs and a lot of verses per se that turned into paragraphs,
right?
Longer than
sure
than the actual verse itself,
sure,
because I just wanted to get it all out.
That's unreal.
But I started to notice this as I got older, but like I started to turn the piece of paper because I was writing on a slant.
Yeah.
So then when I straightened out, all my letters were kind of like this, but it looked cool.
Yeah.
Like it looked like a Shakespeare shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like it looked cool. Like I don't know why I started doing that, but
it's always again, like I said, you know, there's those moments where you can let yourself, you know, be the artist in a way, right?
100%.
And I find like, you know, art exists everywhere, right? I think there's that ancient saying, you know, if you know the way broadly, you see it in all things, right? So when you do have that broad perspective, you can look into specific things and you see that, right? Like because life is kind of fractal in that way. Yeah. Right. The further you pull out, the more it looks the same as you zoom in.
100%.
Right? And I think again, if we can continue on, and you know, as artists, as when you're trying to get, you know, home is where the heart is together, and building that and getting that to that place where you want. I think again, understanding that we are truly all in it together,
100%.
right? And we truly, like, I am you and you are me, and
we're a big happy
what we
family.
See is different, right? Yeah. Like Barney said, you know? Dude, you just take out love. Like, right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's like, there's I think a Pink Floyd lyric where it's like two strangers passing in the street, by chance two glances meet, and I am you and what I see is me. And that whole idea of, again, we are reflections of each other, and if we can again lead in that sense, lead with heart, lead in a way that's compassionate and understanding, I think we can get to another place. And again, and genuinely 100%. Interested in other people's lives and circumstances too, right? Because that's how we tap in, and we continue to tap in as artists. And again, that's what the gift is, I think, is that people will look to you to say, you have this ability to give this art and have these feelings that we all do as people, because we are the same. And you can actually bring that from that collective unconscious into that realm, right? Like it's this weird alchemy, but that's how I
definitely think I do this on this project. It's called Calm Before the Storm.
Yep. Where it's gonna be like everywhere.
It's gonna be everywhere. I'm gonna have some videos.
Sick.
I have a single that we dropped a while ago, but go check it out. Called Genius in My Jeans. It's out. Videos out on YouTube. You could find it all streaming platforms. But it's coming out in November, called Calm Before the Storm. And it's really it's an embodiment. The title itself is we've heard that before. You've heard home is where the heart is before, but I've spelt it differently with it's THA, the instead of THE, like for copyright purposes and all that. But it's something that is, we all hear it, we all know what it is, but it means something different. But it's relative, right? So like that's that. Calm before the storm, we've heard that before. But it's really me trying to speak my career into existence in a sense of, I feel like there's a storm of things coming. So this is just the calm before it. That's what the title's about. There's when you hear it, there's going to be a lot of cool. I've formulated a lot of different samples and a little like skits and stuff. Like it's gonna be worth the wait. I hope you liked some of the music you've heard already.
Yeah. The snippets and the songs that you sent.
Yeah,
unreal.
Yeah.
I really loved. I'm trying to remember the name right now. It was like you sent like B. Is there like a B here or something like that? Sorry.
Which one did I send?
Watch your. Oh my God, I can't.
Is it the most recent one?
No, I'm trying to figure out what I sent him, because I think I sent him some old shit.
Okay.
Personal.
There's one in the intro is really unreal. It was like really kind of like slowed down, and it went into like a nice like quick snare beat. That was really fucking cool.
Yeah, I gotta look at what I sent you.
I was listening to it before, and I was like, I should write down the fucking ones that I liked, because I remember I wanted to talk about them because I really liked.
What's your email?
It's the Bigmark K. I think that was the one you sent.
Yeah. What I sent you? Oh, I sent you. I was here.
Yes, that's what I went.
Yeah,
I was here. I knew there was here.
Yeah. No, yeah. I was like, what is that?
I was like, be here now. That's like Ram Dass.
I was there's a here. I mean, I heard something.
There was like a sound. Right? There was it was like a beat.
Yeah.
But that one was sick. That one was a little bit
I was here.
I was here was
flow. Yeah, I was here was one of the more recent ones that I finished.
Okay.
That's a perfect example of a guy I met back in November.
No way.
The first time we met, he made that beat on spot. No shit. And I made that first verse, and we never finished it until a couple months ago.
Oh my gosh.
Butter.
Unreal.
That song was the first day I met him.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
See, and that's those interesting moments, right? Because I think, we talk about this, and we'll leave everyone on this note where it's like that idea of how to be the channel, right? How to be the channel is trying to do without thinking, because I think the problem is, we think. There's like one of my producers said, if you're thinking, you're stinking.
Fair.
And that whole thing of like, the more you actually think about trying to do something, the harder it is to actually do. Right. If you put the work in before, like the work still has to be done. You 100%. Have to do a lot of thinking before. 100%. But in that moment, if you're ready, like all that work is going to come forward, and you just let, again, whatever that might be, the higher power take the wheel at that point and move forward. And I think that's that whole idea of, when you first meet someone, you don't have all those preambles. You don't really know them. You kind of have to have your guard down a little bit, because you're meeting someone for the first time and you're not thinking about things. Right. And I think that's where things really take off.
100%.
That's it, right? You got to let go, right? I always say, the harder you grip onto the branch on the side of the raging river, the harder that water's going to bear down on you, right? And crush you.
Right.
But when you let go, you just flow along, right?
That's great.
Trust, huge, right? And I think we can build trust, and I think Home is Where the Heart is going to do that. Hey, man, thank you so much for joining us. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok. The Instagram, TikTok, it'll be at home DVO, so HOME DVO. That's TikTok, Instagram. Also on Instagram, my brand, Home is Where the Heart is at home, THA, the home is where the heart is. And YouTube, it's my artist name. You find me HOME _D _VO. And that's on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere. Google me. Album coming out, Calm Before the Storm, November. Thank you.
Unreal, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Can't wait to have you on again.
Yeah,
We're going to hear all about how the album's doing.
Yeah.
Again, this is going to air like October 5th. So whenever you're listening, check it out by the end of November. It's going to be out. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Again, go check out Home Devo everywhere he's at.
Sick.
And if you want to follow along on the podcast or reach out to us, check us out on Instagram or Twitter at the Bigmark Pod or at the Bigmark Podcast. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thebigmarkpod. Like and share and follow and retweet and put out 5 stars. Do all that good stuff. Tell your friends. Tell everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon. Peace.